To the cloud. Okay, good evening. It is February 16th, 2022. It is a meeting of the Nahant Conservation Commission. We're going to call this meeting to order. First on the agenda is the continued notice of intent for 12 Spouting Horn Road, construction of an in-ground swimming pool, patio, and stairwell for water access within coastal bank land subject to coastal storm flowage and the buffer zone to coastal bank. The applicant has requested a continuance at the request of, or has granted a continuance at the request of a neighbor of the abutter because the abutter's out of the country. So we won't be discussing this tonight. However, I did say that we would be willing to conduct a site walk in advance of the next meeting because they've lost a couple months here. So I was hoping that maybe we could set up a site walk, because I think we're all going to want to look at it given its proximity to the edge.
Right.
They said they did say that they've redesigned the plan and they pulled it back a little bit, but I haven't seen the plan yet. So is there a day of the week that's better for people for a site walk? Excuse me.
I can say that for me, Wednesday would be the best, and early morning. Morning seems to have worked for people, but I could also make Thursday work. Wednesday or Thursday or Friday, as long as it's before 10 a.m.
Okay.
Thursday's generally better for just because I'd like to do my yoga from 8:30 to 9:30, but I can skip it if necessary. But Thursdays is open. Wednesdays I do have yoga.
Eden, what works for you? Would a Thursday morning work for you?
It should, yeah. Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, my schedule changes so last minute, but yeah,
Okay.
it should be.
Okay, Henry, could you do like a Thursday morning at 8 a.m.?
You're muted, Henry.
Can you unmute?
Thank you. Sorry about that. I try and leave for work at 9, so 8 is great for me. Yeah.
Okay, how about we do a Thursday? How about March 10th at 8 a.m.?
Okay.
I'm out of town.
Okay,
I can do that.
or we could do the 3rd at 8 a.m.
That's fine.
I can do either.
Would the 3rd work better for you, Eden?
Let me just check. Yeah, seems like that would be okay.
Okay, why don't we plan on the 3rd at 8 a.m.?
Okay.
And this is Spouting Horn.
Yes, 12 Spouting Horn. Okay, cool. All right, so that's continued. So we will move on to the next. We don't have to vote because they requested the continuance. Next on the agenda is a request for certificate of compliance for 163 Willow Road, the request to close out an order for seawall construction. Mr. Dick, do you wish to speak to this, or the property owner? You can unmute. Does anybody want to speak to 163 Willow? Okay,
Trish Livingston is on.
I know.
You wanna?
So it's John Dick. John, do you want to?
There we go.
Aha, there you
Can
are.
you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
We completed work on this back in October. There is a good deal of work that extends beyond the property line. It was authorized by the town Public Works Department, and everything basically is complete, consistent with the plan as presented, and looks pretty good to me. They've had a couple of fairly good northeast storms out there, and there's very little evidence that any water is getting past that wall.
Okay. Does anybody from the commission have any
I guess I don't understand. We have a plan that shows rocks going out to the property line. And then the as-built shows it going out. I understand the town approved it, but shouldn't the plan been adjusted then before? I mean, how can you compare an as-built to a plan when the as-built has much more in it than the plan did?
I don't know that, I mean, the original plan showed stuff going out to the road, up
Well,
out to the
that-
sidewalk.
On that side, but I mean, the whole property line down into the water. It just showed rocks going down to the property line, not going beyond.
Yeah, I have some concerns about that as well. There are a number of things that I'm not sure line up with what we had talked about. Number one, the one concern I have, and I wasn't able to check with Zach about this, but the boulders are off the property into the town's right of way. I wasn't able to, Zach didn't get back to me about whether that was acceptable to him, that this extends onto the town's property. Also, the original showed a couple different drains. The approved plan, this one only shows a single drain. There was supposed to be one on the south side of the property. There isn't one shown on this plan. The salt marsh isn't shown on here, so we can't confirm that it's a foot off of the salt marsh. Looking at this picture that's provided in photograph 1, that was a condition of the order. It appears that the salt marsh goes almost right up to the rocks, which was a specific condition of the order, that it had to be a foot setback. So I have a few concerns about what was built versus what we permitted.
Let me jump in and make a couple of responses here. One is that as far as the property line goes along the water, I have managed to complete enough research to indicate to me that the Aldriches do have rights to low water in accordance with Commonwealth practice. The property line shown on the plan is a property line that's an artifact of an older plan, which essentially showed the property ending and being high water, but they do have a claim out onto the foreshore. Originally, I was under the mistaken impression that the town might own that section of the intertidal, but they don't. I've also managed to find a couple of takings by the town of specific parcels along the water. So the things have fallen into place rather nicely. The other issue, the salt marsh, I would point out that back in June, I went out and I did some measurements in salt marsh, and I did make a sketch at that time. And in relation to the existing wall on the neighbor's property. Interesting.
Please get some feedback. There's somebody that's on a phone and an iPad. All right, that's who it was, the iPhone. Okay, we're good.
Hi.
Hi.
I established a baseline between the corner of the neighbor's existing concrete wall and the mouth of the street drain out there.
Okay.
And using those 2 points, stretching a tape directly along them, I determined that the marsh either was improperly located on the original plan, or what is more likely, as the season progressed, the marsh moved landward. So in fact, it isn't that the wall has moved toward the marsh, it's that the marsh has moved toward the wall. We watched them, I watched them build this until I had a fainting spell and had to be taken to the hospital. There was no evidence that any of those vase stones were placed on or in proximity to marsh. They were simply encroached upon by the landward growth of the marsh. That's not shown on the as-built plan. I apologize. I did do the as-built plan. I can provide that information. In fact, I have provided that information to the engineer, and I think he could superimpose that, or I could superimpose it with his permission. But at present, there's no way for you to know short
Yeah.
of laying this over the old plan.
Yeah, I mean, I think that would perhaps be helpful and over if the engineer could, or the surveyor, whoever ended up doing this, engineer, no, surveyor, if they could overlay this. I guess we're just missing some critical information that it makes it difficult to
Oh, good grief.
definitively. Oh, you don't like that? To definitively make a decision. Also, it was requested by the town administrator that we get a definitive answer from Zach about the encroachment onto the town property before we sign off. Because there's some
Yeah, I
questions
can't
about
speak to that.
property
I regret
ownership
to
over
say,
there.
Yeah.
So, looking at the information we have on this plan, I don't think I have enough information to make a decision because we don't have the salt marsh. We don't know about the encroachment. I don't know, mean low water is what elevation? Negative, not shown on this.
No, that's well out into the intertidal.
Negative 5.6.
Salt marsh, basically salt marsh is at above
Right.
mean high, I'm sorry, mean sea level. The
Right.
mean low water is way the heck gone out across the beach.
I'm still confused because you bring up who owns the property. The point is that the plan shows the rocks that were going to go in were well inside the property line. So the fact that they go way beyond the property line is not an ownership question. It's not, they're not the plan that was presented. But that's where I'm confused, unless I'm missing something.
Also, I thought there was going to be a drain that was going to be installed on the south end. Did they not just decide to do that?
There was no need for a drain.
There, John?
David?
Yeah, so
You got to either get off the
The-
iPhone or the iPad because we're getting feedback.
1 second.
Or just mute one while you're talking, please.
So it's muted. I don't know why it's still picking up.
Okay.
So the Mass Fisheries told me when we did the plan that we couldn't put the two drains going out the wall, which you were copied on that. So what we did was we put a small one-way clapper valve in the south corner that doesn't go through the wall. It just goes to the original wall from Mr. Savino. And I also just emailed you to the Conservation Commission the very definitive area that shows the base of the toe stones. There's a foot of clearance to the Spartina grass. It's very clear. You can see it in the photograph I just sent you.
Is it photograph one that's on the plan? That's included on the plan you provided? Because there are parts where the grass is like touching the wall in that photograph.
I'm sorry?
Is it the same photograph that's included on the plan that you
No.
submitted?
I just
I don't see anything.
emailed it to you two minutes ago.
Okay, I haven't gotten it. Okay, so I mean, I guess I don't know what the commission thinks. I think we need some additional information added to this plan and we need a definitive opinion from Zach.
Well, could we clarify, could we clarify how we're going to resolve where the town's ownership begins on that ramp, and would that be clarified?
So my understanding is that town council has reached out to the surveyor because the information we have as a town, not we, the town has, differs from the information the surveyor provided. It's the town's opinion that they own the ramp. It's Mr. Aldrich's opinion that he owns the ramp. So I think that's a legal issue that's going to get worked out in a different venue, it sounds like to me. It's not our department, but he does, on here, it does show the wall extending off the edge of his property to the sidewalk. And according to this plan, there's 6 feet that it encroaches into the town's right of way. I just, because that's a sensitive area and like it's currently blocked off and it's the space to enter is smaller than it used to be. I just want to make sure that we're not signing off on the town, something the town's not comfortable with. And that's not really our decision to make. If they have a concern about it, I think it needs to be heard before we sign off on a final wall.
Well, are those the boulders that Trish and David have said that they're going to remove when the summer comes? Is the very ones at issue here, the ones, David, that you have said that you're going to remove when the better weather comes? Hello?
No, I think those are the ones that are parallel to the road. We're talking about the ones that are perpendicular to the road.
Those are the ones that I'm talking about too, because where those are essentially prevents that particular ramp. Elderly people who can't get down to the beach sit there on chairs in the summer, and women with strollers with kids, that's how they access the beach, with a stroller.
Yeah.
So those ones are the ones that I think are at issue. So I'm just asking, are those the ones that Dave and Trish have said when the better weather comes, they'll remove or at least put aside?
Okay, so let's just clarify everything.
Yeah,
Originally, from day one, we met with Zach. And when we were talking about the ramp, we said that from September 15th until May 15th, we would block off the ramp to stop the flooding onto Willow Road. And he was delighted with that. On May 15th, Zach is going to remove the big boulders, and we're going to continue to let them use the ramp to access to clean the beach. None of that has changed. Got nothing to do with property lines. That's the agreement that Zach and I worked out from day one. So that's got nothing to do with the revetment wall. Those are portable cement blocks exclusively put there to stop the water from going on to Willow Road and up the ramp.
okay, thank you for the clarification. I just wanted to make sure we were all talking about the same extension, the same
Right.
blocks.
Right?
Those aren't the ones I'm talking about.
Okay,
I'm talking the ones that come perpendicular to the road and they encroach by about 6 feet into the town's right of way, according to this plan.
Okay, so I'm not sure where you're getting that information.
From this
When
plan.
when Zach and I did the wall, when we sat down, we brought the both machines, the small machine, and I asked him to bring the front loader in the event there was a major problem on the beach. Zach and I measured and put a line where exactly the boulders should be to have access to the, we're not encroaching anywhere on the town's property. Zach and I have not, we sat down, we measured it, we marked it out, and we adhered to that agreement. Nothing has been deviated from the original plan and the conversations I had with Zach.
Could Zach-
Regarding what's the closing of the ramp now, it's a liability issue. And 9 people have fallen, and we've documented everything. We've talked to our attorney, we've talked to our insurance company, and we've sent letters to the town from people who have fallen on the ramp to warn other people how dangerous the ramp is. And just to your point, Colleen, about the ramp with a wheelchair, it's not an ADA compliant ramp. You can't put a wheelchair down there.
I didn't ever say the word wheelchair. I said there are some elderly people who like to sit and on that top level in the summer because they can't get down the ramp or they can't get down the stairs.
Well,
And
that,
there are women and there are people with I said with strollers.
Right,
So I
right.
just wanted you to clarify that those boulders are gonna be removed so people with strollers and little kids can access. the
Right,
field.
we've
That's all.
notified all of our neighbors and I think it's a total of 60 residents that use the ramp on a regular basis, that why we closed it, the danger of closing it, and if they use the ramp, they use the ramp at their own risk.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify about the boulders that are blocking access and that those will be removed and what the dates are. And it looks like, as Kristen said, there's a separate issue of encroachment on town land that is not our issue, that our department does not.
It's got nothing to do with the
Yeah.
Conservation Commission, right?
Correct, I agree. So I just wanted to separate those two things.
Right. And all the work, every single bit of work that we did on the wall, when we were talking, when putting in the toe stones, Zach came down, he approved it. He made a call to somebody else, I think, on the committee. And we didn't do anything until we got approval. We stayed within the guidelines of the Spartina. We didn't go onto any of the Spartina grass. And we just continued the line right to the bottom of the ramp. So I don't know why what's the big discussion? Because we did everything was wide open, middle of the day, and getting approval by everybody.
So I'd like to see a plan that shows the salt marsh on it because that was a requirement of the order of conditions.
I just
So
sent you the photograph.
I haven't got a
Kristen.
photograph and that's not a submittal that what am I supposed to do with that right now? I just checked the email. I haven't gotten it yet. It needs to be shown on the plan. That was a specific condition that it had to be 1 foot. We can use the line that was used before. If it's gone bigger, that's great. But we can use the line that John provided previously and overlay it on this plan. That was a condition of the permit.
Right. And we adhered to that condition. We did not
How do I know
encroach
that? I don't have
a blade of the seagrass,
This is the official record, the plan.
right? Yeah.
I don't have it on the plan. The plan does not show me where the seagrass, where the salt marsh is.
Well, look at, all right. So if you distribute the photograph that I just sent to you, and I can
Hasn't
do
come
it,
to my email. I don't have.
I sent it to the Conservation Commission. You want me to send it to your Gmail account?
I'm looking at the Conservation Commission. It's not here. It doesn't matter. The official record is the plan. It specifically said in the order of conditions that needed to be shown, that needed to be done. Because we gave you a buy, not making you update your plan at the time so that you could get this done. We did you a favor so you could get this done. And so that was.
I don't think any
requirement. So
favors were granted to us, but
I
okay.
totally disagree. Totally disagree because you were
Right.
in a big hurry to get it done before winter and we could have held you up because you didn't give us a sufficient plan. But instead, we allowed you to give us a as-built after the fact. The as-built does not have all the information that we need on it.
And all the work was brought forth and approved by Zach. We
That
didn't
is
do
not on the
anything,
Conservation
we did not
Commission.
do anything. So we did everything that we were supposed to do and got approval for everything we were supposed to do.
Okay. Does the commission have any other comments regarding this?
So just to clarify, so now we need to show you where, in addition to the photographs we'll provide, you want to see an overlay on the plan?
Yes, Mr. Dick has that information. It was provided previously to the commission. All he has to do is put the line on the plan, and then we can see that you complied with the condition.
It would have been helpful if, we submitted this plan a few weeks ago. Would have been easier if we had known this in advance, so we could have done that. And now we have to wait another month.
What is the rush to close this out?
Well,
I mean-
we want to get out, just close it out and get on with life. We want to end this chapter. I don't think that's a big secret to anybody on the commission or anybody in our neighborhood.
So the commission can vote. I'm not in favor of approving this. I'm one member of the commission. You have 3 others. So if you guys wish, if you want to, that's totally fine. I am not comfortable with approving something that does not have the sufficient information on it. That's my professional opinion. The commission is welcome to do whatever they think is appropriate. I'm one vote out of 3. And then Henry has to recuse himself.
Before we even get to that, your letter talks about adding 5 to 6 large boulders. So that I assume that those are not on the plan, not on the as-built plan, because you're planning to add them.
Yeah,
It seems like we're premature anyway, because if we're going to add more boulders, then the as-built plan should have everything that's on it, not almost everything.
right. Well, it's not, it can't be on the as-built plan because it's not as-built.
Where are
What
you
we
planning
asked
to
for
put them?
is to put 5 boulders in the corner on our property that it's the only weak link in the wall. When waves were coming up and hitting it and splashing up and over. So we just wanted to kind of close it out and put the boulders in that corner to continue the revetment to close out any, kind of problems with flooding.
Well, I mean, this plan has, the as-built has a ton of boulders that aren't in the plan that was submitted, first of
Right.
all. So, I mean.
Which we got approved, which we,
Oh, wait a minute,
we-
you did not get
yeah.
approved from the Conservation Commission. I
well,
mean, we have a plan, we meet, we've reviewed the plan, and we approve a plan, and then we ask for an as-built that demonstrates that you did what was planned.
yep,
If you do 50% more than what you presented, you didn't follow the plan. And now you want to add 5 or 6 more boulders, but you don't want to submit a plan. But you want an as-built that doesn't have the 5 or 6. I'm confused about your.
okay,
logic
so
about
what's more important to us is to get the as-built approved. If
Why?
we have to go back and do something else for the 5 boulders in the corner, we'll do it. But right
Well,
now, the subject
You can't-
is,
But the as-built does not. There's no explanation. There's nothing here that says the COMCON approved a plan and you've done a lot different than the plan. So I don't know what the normal thing is. Do you submit an amended plan that we approve and then we have an as-built that says you did what you said? I mean.
okay,
it's
but
like you're
forget about the additional boulders.
How can I?
Let's just focus on the as-built plan
Which
right
has-
now.
Which has 100 additional boulders in it above the plan that was approved.
Right, and as we got into this and we ran into issues, we called the DPW down, got approval, and he made a call and we continued. That's exactly what happened during the 2 days that they were working.
But there's no permit that reflects that change. Right? I mean, you're building a house, you decide you want to build it twice as big. You don't just get to make that decision without having a permit that reflects that. Right now, we'd be approving a as-built that doesn't reflect what was permitted.
Okay, so
it's all on your
without going
property.
around and around and around again. So in the next, you want us to highlight the Spartina grass overlay, correct?
Yes.
Okay, is there anything else?
You added additional boulders on your property. You need to account for that.
We did. They're in the as-built program. I
It
mean,
doesn't
the
match what we
plan.
gave you, but we gave you a permit for something else. You can't just add, just like you.
We
just wrote in
didn't
the
just
thing.
add.
Zach is not the Conservation Commission.
Well,
Zach is
then,
not the permitting authority.
We followed the lead that day exactly as what we were directed. So I think maybe you might want to chat with the town officials about it. We did exactly everything above board, and we had to stop. We had to get him down there. He looked at it, and then we continued. I'm not making this up. I mean, that's what happened. So I think you need to discuss it with them, but we'll put the grass line in and we'll figure it out. I don't think there's anything else we need to discuss, right? I mean, that's what you want, and that's what we'll do.
I think you should resubmit a plan that gets approved. I mean, if it's after the fact, it just really bothers me. I mean, it's not Dave, not you personally, Dave.
Well, I don't take anything personally. I just want to, the long and short of it is we did everything the right way. And
Well-
then the last 2 storms, for the first time in 23 years, the neighborhood Our property didn't flood, the neighborhood didn't flood. That's the big issue. That's like,
No, the big issue
that's
is
the big
why-
issue.
Why didn't your plan that you submitted show boulders on the edge of the ramp, for example, and all the boulders going up? Maybe John Dick can answer that, but why didn't the plan show? I mean, it's not like 2 boulders that were added, it's 50%, it's probably almost 100% or 50% more boulders than are on the plan that we had.
Right, so,
And so to me, that's a process thing that could affect all of Nahant. If everybody came to us for approval and then did 50% more.
the additional boulders, Mark,
Yeah.
are more to protect Willow Road and the neighborhood than they are our property. That's pretty clear. If you come down and look at it, the additional boulders, which we paid for, is to the benefit of the town and the benefit of the entire neighborhood, not our property.
I'm not arguing with that point, Dave. My
Well,
point,
then what are you arguing
my
about?
arguing is that somebody comes for approval for a plan, then we expect them to follow the plan. If they want to do 20% more and it's for the benefit of everybody, it
Cor-
still should be a plan that reflects what they're going to do. I mean, it's a process issue that I have, not that what you did. was
But Mark,
in a sense, but-
Mark,
yeah.
we didn't just continue our work and forget about the town and the officials and the regulations. We could see what was happening. We called Zach down. He came to the property. He agreed that we were heading in the right direction and it was necessary to do this. And he approved it and we continued. That's what we did.
I think Mark's
So
point is
if you're saying to me that we just arbitrarily brought in all these extra boulders, which we paid for, which are benefiting the local, the neighborhood and the town, I mean, this is madness.
I think that's irrelevant. I think Mark's point, and I agree with him, is that a permit needs to reflect that work was done. That work is on your property. So that's not what we permitted. It's great that you did it. I'm happy it's going to protect the road, but it's not permitted. We don't have anything on the books saying that was okay. So what if 10, 20 years down the road, you sell your property and somebody's like, they didn't have permission to do this. And then there's a problem. We don't have a permit on the books that reflects the work you did.
Okay, but we
Doesn't
got
matter who it
approval.
benefits.
We got approval. It's not
Do
like
something else.
what?
We don't, Zach is not the Conservation Commission. We need.
Well, then
a
he should
permit
have
that reflects
said,
it.
he should have, I believe he called you that day.
He
Now, I
didn't. I
could
said,
be-
we need a permit. We need a permit is what I told him. And then here we are 6 months
Okay,
later and nothing
then
has
what
changed.
should have happened, then he should have turned to me and said, you need a permit to do this, stop the work immediately. You should have come down and said, stop immediately.
All right.
We did
I think we're in
exactly what
impasse.
we were told we could do.
I think
We didn't do
disagree.
anything wrong.
Okay.
And if something was amiss or askew, then that should have happened that day when we were asking permission.
I said that you could submit an after
That's
the
what
fact
should have
permit.
happened.
I said that you could submit an after the fact permit. That's what I told Zach.
Right, and that's what we did. So now
No, you
why?
didn't.
No, you haven't. You haven't
You
submitted
haven't.
an after the fact permit.
You're asking for us to sign off on
You
something.
asked for an as-built plan,
from your
which
other
we
permit.
did,
Okay.
as built. That's
No, I
what you
think-
wanted to see. You said, I want to see the as-built when you're done. And we said, good, we'll do
Yeah,
that.
that was the requirement of your permit that you submit an as-built.
Yes.
What?
That was a requirement of your order of conditions that you submit an as-built.
Right. So that day, when you were talking to Zach on the phone, and then we were given the green light, no one ever told us anything that was coming out of the Conservation Commission with authority about what we were doing. We did exactly what we were told to do.
Okay.
We
So
did
Zach
exactly what he told us to do.
Zach and John Dick were both aware that this needed to be permitted. If that didn't get conveyed to you, clearly you and I are unable to communicate with each other. So if they didn't communicate that to you, you would have called me if you wanted my permission and you didn't.
I'm not
So-
the town official. I'm the property owner.
we went to the town official and told him, and we got approval at that day.
So
I mean,
now we have,
I'm not getting this.
now we have unpermitted work. And who's accountable for that? I'm not
What?
comfortable signing off on something that shows it's much larger than what we permitted. I don't think that's right.
I think that when the extent of the work, to simplify this, the extent of the work is more than what was permitted.
Correct,
And-
correct,
Okay, so. let's
correct.
just- You cannot, unfortunately, and Kristen is reiterating this, you cannot midstream in a project get an offhand approval from somebody who works for Public Works to put 100 extra boulders. There is concern around the scope of the project turned out to be larger than what was
Right,
permitted.
I understand that. I agree with that. And when we got to that point, we said, wait a minute, you know, if we're gonna continue this line and continue it to stop the water from going on to Willow, we gotta figure out what to do here. We called the town official. He came on site.
So
We
I
explained everything. We didn't hide anything. We
No,
explained
but-
everything. He
Can I
then
say
called
something?
Kristen.
Can I
And I
say
was willing to
something?
let you permit it after the fact.
It sounds like there was a breakdown in communication on the day that you made the phone call to Zach. It sounds
No,
like.
I didn't. Zach came to the property
Please let
man.
me finish. Please let me finish. I'm not saying it was a breakdown of communication on your point. There was some miscommunication. So I would suggest that rather than focusing on what happened in the past, which we cannot currently change, what do we do to resolve this and move forward so that you can get this chapter closed? Can we maybe focus on that? Is that possible?
Fine. I mean,
Okay.
we'll put this line in with the Spartina grass,
Okay,
right? And you have what's there. I mean, it's in the plan. You have all the work that's been done. And that I just,
I think it's as easy as submitting a request for a minor modification to your existing
well, okay,
permit.
that's fine. Is that what you
It's no
want?
big
A
deal,
min,
yes.
a
And then we can
modification?
sign off on it.
Okay,
A minor modification, I'm not going to make you notify everybody and spend the money, just submit a minor modification. Give us an updated plan. And then we can move forward.
okay. So just so I'm clear, what I have to tell the design person, we need the line of the seagrass.
Yeah.
Everything else, it stays the same, right?
I'd like a second plan that has an overlay of what was approved versus what was constructed. It's easy. He has both of them. He literally just pops them together and prints it out.
Right,
Easy.
right,
No extra work for him. So
right.
I think we'd
Right.
like those two things so that we can quantify how much extra is there. Mr. Dick writes us a letter explaining the situation as requesting a minor modification. And then we can do that and then we can handle it.
Fine. That's what I wish that was said in the very beginning. I just,
They've been trying to save it, Dave.
no one said a minor modification, Mark.
It's a permit. You're changing your permit. That's what
It's a
you're
permit.
requesting to do.
Right?
okay, so let's just focus on what we can do to move forward and move forward. Is that okay
I
with
agree.
everyone?
So we need a minor modification to permit the changes, and we need an updated plan that reflects those two things. Well, it would be two separate plans. One plan that shows the as-built with the salt marsh, and then a second plan that just has the two overlaid, and that would go with the minor modification request. So that we would have a plan that reflects the new stuff, and then we would have the final as-built. And then we'd at the next meeting, we'll approve the minor modification, and then after that, we can approve the certificate of compliance. It'll be two separate things
At the next meeting.
at the next meeting.
Okay.
And when do we have to get this by?
Our next meeting is, well, let me see, the 16th. So if you can make sure that if you can confirm that your person can give it to me, you can give it to me as late as March 7th. or March 9th. How about that? 3 weeks.
Perfect.
Okay. And then I can put that on the agenda for the next meeting and we can handle it all.
And should this minor modification include the 5 or 6 folders you're also planning to add? Let's get that out of the way at the same time.
I would
Yeah.
now, so you don't have to file and spend more money. Just throw them on
Right.
there as a request. And if you don't do them, that's great. But if you do, then at least you're already covered.
Right.
And it'll save you filing fees and all that stuff. John, are you cool? You know where we're going with this?
I hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. All right, then let's, excuse me, let's do a continuance to the next meeting until the March 16th meeting, and then we'll revisit this at that time.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Can I have a motion to continue to the next meeting?
I move.
Thank you, Eden. Is there a second?
I second.
Thank you, Colleen. All in favor? Aye.
I,
And then Henry abstains. Right, Henry? Okay. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Okay, next on the agenda is an update on the Northeastern situation. They appealed our denial for the stormwater, for the seawater intake. They appealed to DP and then they also filed a lawsuit under the bylaw. So the saga continues. Next up, review and approval of the meeting minutes. This was a typo. It's should be August 11th, 2021. Trying to get us up to date on our meeting minutes. Did everybody have a chance to take a look? Anybody have any?
Mine says August 11th.
The agenda, I wrote 18th by mistake.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
It should be the 11th.
mine says August.
The
Okay,
minutes should say the 11th, but the
Right.
agenda mistakenly says the 18th.
I see.
Because we also had a meeting on the 18th, a week later.
I see.
Okay, does anybody have any changes they'd like to make? Can I hear a motion to approve them?
I so move.
Thank you, Henry. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. All in favor?
I,
Aye. Okay, next up, the December 15th, 2022 meeting minutes.
you mean 2021?
Yes, God, I was full of typos. Yes, 2021. Thank you.
Move to accept.
Thank you, Colleen. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Eden. All in favor?
I,
Aye.
Aye.
Henry, Mark?
Yeah,
Thanks.
aye.
All right, January 19th, 2022 meeting minutes.
Had one thing, I'm just trying to find them now.
yeah, I've got to try to look. It got sent to my other email, so I have to.
Just 1 second, yeah, because I read them on the plane and I gotta.
Here's the 15th. Hang on 1 second. I see. It says Wednesday, January 19th, right? Not January
Yes.
22nd. Yeah.
Yep.
And the notice.
2022.
Okay, I got on that call a little late, so I was just confused about what happened to that spouting horn. That was a continuance then. How many continuances do they get? Because we just continued it today till March.
As many as they want.
Okay.
We continue Northeastern for a long time. This time was just because they were trying to accommodate in a butter.
Correct. I get it.
So next meeting, they will come before us, for sure.
Yeah, that's all correct. I move to accept the January 19th minutes. That's all. I just wanted to clarify about the continuance and how many times we get to do that. Okay, thank you.
Mark, did you see a typo?
No, it was the one we just approved.
Oh, we can make a change still.
On the seawater thing, I just thought I mentioned, you inquired as to whether the LID principles for stormwater it had been raised, and I thought we did mention the fact that a significant number of trees were being taken down as part of the project.
I can add that.
If I remember correctly, and because I think that's relevant to all this, I think that should just be in the minutes.
Okay, yeah, no problem. I can add that. Okay. Then the January minutes, Colleen, you moved. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mark. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, excellent. Is anybody want to talk about anything else? Okay. All right. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move.
Thank you, Eden.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you guys. So I'll see everyone on March 3rd for the
Yes.
site walk
Howdy, no.
The site walk, yes.
at 8 a.m. and I'll let the engineer that works for us.
Okay.
Thank you,
Um,
guys.
Ken, one quick question.
Yep.
If it's super icy up there, I mean, I have some micro spikes, but if we're gonna do site walks, if it's as icy as it's been, we should just, be able to call each other or figure out a way to adjust based on how icy it is. I really don't want to go on property where they're doing construction and it's super icy and somebody gets injured. So we can always defer if that's the case. Like I said, I'll try to wear micro spikes, but I really don't want to go to a site where they're doing construction and there's not good walkways and it's icy and somebody gets injured.
Well, why don't we keep an eye on it, and then if the conditions aren't great, we can always pass it a week, push it back a week, and then unfortunately we'll lose you, Eden, but we can send you pictures.
Okay.
Does that sound okay?
By March 3rd, it probably will be fine, but I just want
I
to.
hope so.
Words.
You don't want to go off that cliff.
Because it never snows in March in New England.
I don't want to slide down off that cliff. That is true.
Yeah, I don't blame you. All right, that sounds good. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Night.
Have a good one.
Yeah.
Good night.
Have a good one. Bye, everybody.
Good night.